Hi, Keith Londholm here again with New Vintage Automotive. And in today's video series we're going to be covering the Opel GT steering column from 1968 to 1973. We'll be discussing how to replace the ignition switch, and as a bonus we'll be showing how to do a turn signal switch. I hope you enjoy this video. Please give me a thumbs up, like, tweet about it, whatever you got to do. Get our video out there. And don't forget to subscribe. In this part of the video, we're going to be showing the Opel GT steering column and how to replace the ignition switch out of it. Now, what was common back in the day is, because this has an internal ignition switch, it seemed like it maybe was too technical for most mechanics of the day. So they would simply find a parts car, a wrecked car, and pull out the whole steering column and put it into said car to get it back on the road. Which most of your General Motors cars of the day, even the Opel Kadett, had an external ignition switch, so there wasn't really anything you had to do but a couple screws and take it out and replace it. So it was a difficult job because it required a few special tools like a steering wheel puller, and maybe most mechanics just thought it would be easier to swap out a whole column. So what I've got is a 1970 steering column, which is going to be similar to everything from 70 to 73. The 69 has a little bit of a different collar to it, and it has a push button high beam switch, and it's a little more difficult to take apart than the later 70 through 73. So what I'll do first is I'll take off this plate, and I've noticed that this brown wire has been cut, so I'll have to replace that. But I've actually been into this column and I've found that there was some problems with the horn plate and such. So I'm going to be going over that with you, and we'll bring the camera up so you can get a little closer look at exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so where we want to start is this horn pad, which is missing on this. Just pulls right off. It pops right off. It's got a little spring clip that holds onto this. This is the horn ring, and it's held in by 3 screws with springs behind it. And I've had this hub off, so this is going to be loose already. But you have a 15mm nut with some locking tabs. So you take a screwdriver, you bend those locking tabs out, and you can access the screw. Now, I'm not going to take this off because it'll probably pop off, but I'll show you my steering wheel puller. I've just got, you can pick these up at the auto parts store. It's a GM steering column tools, and you just need basically, this is from a bolt grip set, and these heads have a square cut to them. So they'll sit in these grooves. And you don't have to take the steering wheel off to do this. You just, you'll put these legs into the slotted holes, and you'll turn them just 45 degrees, one notch to hook it. So you put these in, you position the hooks in, and they'll go one way, and you can easily turn them. So I've got that one hooked, and I'll put this one in. I've got it hooked. Now I have this tool I made, which is basically like the Kent Moore one, where it'll go over the shaft of this steering column and protect it. And I've just got a little tapered cut in here, so I can put this all on there and pop it loose. Now, like I said, I had done this for a video prior, and unfortunately my battery went dead. So you'll get to see a kind of shortened version of it. So nut, and you'll have two washers. One's the locking washer. One is a kind of a slot cut washer, and the column will come loose. Now's a good time to inspect and see that my horn plunger is actually missing. So I went and I got another column that was apart to get some pieces. Also, what I noticed was this horn ring is completely worn down. So either they had something else in here, maybe an aftermarket steering wheel is my guess. But, you know, it's hearsay. And you've got a spring. There is a metal kind of like spacer, a wedge that goes in here. And you just got to watch if that falls out, you know, you don't want to lose it. This steering column sleeve has two screws on it. Now, if you have a 69 column, this is a one-piece deal, and you almost got to have the whole steering column apart just to pull it off. So it was definitely an upgrade for Opel to change that. This turn signal indicator lever, it'll just unscrew like that. It's just a threaded shaft, and then we're ready to pull the key out. Now, this is easy if you have a key for it, but if you don't, there are some steps. You can be careful, and you can punch this pin and get it out and maybe salvage this, but a lot of times it'll damage this ignition switch, so just be careful. So what I do is there's always this rubber cover. Well, not always. I mean, it should be one. So you can pull it out, and it's just got little fingers that hold it in. And then you put your key in, and you'll turn it to the run position, and you'll know the run position because the next position springs back. That's the start position. And you'll want to get a hook, and you don't have to have the hub off to do this, but I'm going to try to, you can get a good shot of it right there. Right there is a little button. Okay, so if you got this pick, you can come in on the side and find that button. Sometimes they're dirty and they're hard to see, but with it being in this position, you can push that button and it'll actually move in. So I'll push that button while I'm pulling the key, and it'll come right out. So this is where you'll actually get your code. It's stamped here, and I'm going to try to come in, and this one is a BB621. Now on a GT, they'll only be BB or CC, and then 3 numbers or 4 numbers. The BB codes only have 3 numbers, but the CC codes, they ran those a lot more, and there could be codes up to 1800 numbers. So that's the only 2 codes you'll look for. If you've got this far and you want a key cut, I can cut these keys by the code, so you don't have to send me anything. And then you can pull this piece of rubber off, and now we're ready to loosen this outer housing. And to do that, there's 3 Phillips head screws down into the housing, and you might need a flashlight here. I'm kind of know where to find these things, and I'll let them just drop down. Or if you've got a magnetic screwdriver, that's fine too. And I'll pull these out. This one, the ignition switch harness kind of gets in your way. Okay. Then you have a big Phillips head screw right here. And what that is that locks this sleeve. I'll call it a sleeve, but it locks it in position. So you get it out, and it has a little locking washer behind it. You just want to put it to the side as well. And then we're ready to, we can move this cylinder now. We took that thing out. It'll move a little bit. And you just kind of want to wiggle this cover to the side where you can push this sleeve through and get it to clear out. You want to clear out this backside. So we're just trying to pull it, get it out there. And like I said, you have to wiggle this cover, and then right there you can see I've cleared it. So it'll push through, and then my cover will come off. So with that being said, and the cover's off now, your ignition switch is right here. And it's held in by one flathead screw. Now, a little word of warning here is this is a key buzzer, this gray wire that goes to the cylinder. Now, I don't run these on our restorations unless a customer just has to have it, but it's more of an annoyance. So you can cut this away, but it'll pull apart, and it's got a rubber sleeve over it, and it's got a really small connector. I'm going to try to zoom in here so you all can get a better look at this. Okay, so it's got a male and a female little, I think it's called a 187 connector. Okay, and it's a gray wire. Sometimes this might be a different color just because these color codes are different here. Now, I tell people, since we're going to be replacing this switch, I mean, it might be good, it might not be, but you can get these new. And I'm sorry, I'm doing this one person. This is a new ignition switch from Opel GT source. And it also has the gray wire built in. Now this one it's kind of pulled through. And you know, I could care less. I'm actually, you're actually going to see me. I'm gonna pull it out of the harness and toss it because I don't use them. But it's there if you need to, you know, you want to rehook it up. That's fine. And so on these connectors, you want to disconnect all these connectors from the white one. So here's your gray wire, here's a black and red, here's a black, and then here's a red. And those will be the wires going through even your new harness. So I take a wire terminal tool. You can get these through maybe automotive stores. I get some from Matco and some of my wiring supply places. And these connectors have a little tab. I'll kind of try to show you on these. They got a little, I hope you can see it. See that little tab? That's what actually locks those in to these connectors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them out. So you just bend down that tab, and if you don't get them, you know, sometimes you gotta put this in and twist it. Get a stouter one. Sometimes a micro flat blade screwdriver will work. You don't have to undo the brown wire since it's on the other part, but now I'm going to end up undoing all these connectors because of this switch is being bad. I'm going to replace it while I'm here. So the gray harness goes to your ignition, and we're gonna pull it out. Now this is the key. This jumps over to power this turn signal switch, and you'll just unplug it. It's a 90-degree flag terminal, and pull it out. Now what I like to do is pull this out, and I leave the ignition switch hooked up to it. And there's a reason I do this. One, there is a timing to this. And you can see right here this rectangular bar. Okay? It's kind of got rounded corners to it. That's the steering wheel lock. Now if you get all willy-nilly on this and pull this off, and you get this out of time, you could be setting yourself up for major problems when driving down the road, because if you get this out of time and let's say it decided to click up a little bit and lock while you're driving, you know, if you're not ready for that, it could be a serious problem. Now, what some people do, if they can't get this right, or just as a security, they'll actually grind that off. So it can't engage no matter what position it's in. Now, I'm going to put the key back in this, just as a holder for the timing of this. Because what I'll do is I'll end up putting the switch in without moving this. So it's back in, it's in a locked position. You can see in the locked position, when you take your key out, that little rectangular tab comes up. You turn the steering wheel and it locks. You put your key back in it, you turn it, that thing comes down so it won't engage and start it up. So that's really important. You don't mess this up. Now, it doesn't matter what position I've got this in. I can take the switch off safely, and I'm not gonna, it'll be in its correct timing. Now, I will probably, for video purposes, I'll end up taking this apart and cleaning it and painting it while I'm here. But I just want to show you all really how to do this without messing it up. So, like I said, I'll put that switch on. Throw my tools around a little bit. And there we go. It's got the spring back. You know you're in good shape. So we put it back in position 2, the run position, and we pull that out. And now our timing is in the same position it was. Now I'm ready. I'll put the sleeve back in, and I'll run the wiring down the tube. And you can also, like I said, you can run this. You hook it back up to your switch. Now, again, I'm going to replace the switch. I might video that, but I'm trying to make the video where it's not super long this time. And then you run this through. You'll have to fish it through. It can be a pain in the butt, to get it down this slot and out. But I'm going to have this apart anyways, and if your tube needs to be painted, you know, that would be the time to paint it when you got this all apart. But always leave that ignition switch in there, so, and try to put it where it's not going to get bumped around and possibly get out of timing, because it's really not good for that to happen. So that's going to conclude this part of the video. That is pretty self-explanatory. Another tip would be to take a picture of the position that these wires go into this plug. That way you can easily plug them right back in, and they're in the correct orientation as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you on this part how we replace the turn signal switch. And again, I'm just going to pull out this ignition switch and the sleeve all as one unit. I'll put it to the side for now. And on this column, of course, you've got the black sleeve harness, and we're going to have to disconnect these, which, voila, I did a little pre-work before we got to this video to speed it up. And then you got 3 10mm head bolts. You'll take it out. You can just loosen those if you like, because these are slotted, but I just as easy to take them off and get them out of the way. Now, this is the little lock collar, or kind of like a spring shim that goes over this shaft. You just take a screwdriver and kind of pry it, and it'll pull off pretty easily. And then this whole assembly is ready to start moving out. I'll pull the harness through and just kind of wiggle it, and it'll come. Sometimes you got to give it a little love tap to get it off. But so there is the assembly, and it's got an upper bearing and stuff. This one's pretty packed up, kind of tough, probably from wearing this ring down. Now I'm going to say, yeah, you could probably, this part is serviceable. I know it is on the Cadets. And then you've got these, but you've got these horn connectors that are wired in under here, and it'll pull out, and it's a kind of a weird little spring connector. I'll try to get as close as I can. And there's a little slot up there that it connects to the ring, and there's a plastic piece, and it'll kind of detent in there. But sometimes it seems like you just wonder if that's a good connection or not. And a good chance to kind of get familiar with it. Sometimes, like I said, the wiring color is different on these, depending on what year and such. So we're going to put that aside, and now we got to figure out is a replacement switch, and voila. While we were on the break, I got another one out, and it's got a good ring here. So basically it's going to be the reverse of the install. And I guess it would have helped to maybe made note of which way it was clocked. But it's pretty easy to, here's your key switch. This this is on the top. This is on the bottom. So Just going to go like so. Okay, yeah. That's the top key. Looks right to me. You can always kind of reference this plate too. This plate's got a pin, and there's a slot here with that pin holder, and that plate will lock onto that. So that's your bottom, and you know that's the top. If you're not, fortunate to have another one to go by, and then simply you put these bolts back. Drop, so like that. Okay. And then you'll just run your harness back through. This coordinating slot and down the tube. Now that's easy enough, you don't need to watch me do that. But, one key, remember this ring? Why you got it, put it back on before you forget about it. Okay, and then you're ready to put your ignition sleeve back in. Put it in, wire it up. I'm going to paint this, so we're not going to worry about that right now. But that's it's pretty much put back together the way it came apart. Nothing that anybody can't do with a few special tools that you can get at the auto parts store, pretty much. So with that, that concludes the steering column part. I'm going to go over door handles for all makes. I'm also going to go over some of the key cutting and things. So that might be on this video. I might do it in a separate video. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a like and be looking for our next videos. Thank you.